I'm Lauren with IndoorGardening.com, and today let's talk about your yellowing leaves on your plants. We are going to talk about a lot of different plant leaf issues, but the number one thing that we want to make sure to talk about today is yellowing leaves. Why do your plants get yellow leaves? Why do your plants get brown leaves? Why do your plants get crispy tips? Why does your plant's foliage do all of these weird things? Is it something to be concerned about? First off, whenever your plant's foliage changes, it's telling you something. It's either an older leaf that it's shedding, it's not getting enough humidity, it's missing specific nutrients, it is being overwatered, it is being underwatered. There are a lot of reasons as to why a plant's foliage will do something. It's a plant's way of communicating, and basically the only way that we can actually read a plant to figure out what's going on. So let's dive into why plants are doing what they're doing. Let's get the easy one right out of the gate. If your plant's tips are brown and crispy, it is usually a humidity issue. That's it. The humidity is just a little bit too low, so you can either up the humidity or chop those tips off and keep on trucking. Most plants are going to be fine as long as there's not a whole bunch of other issues going on and that's the only one. Don't even worry about it. Just clip it off so that way the pests don't want to move in, and just keep on moving. Let the plant grow. Next up, let's talk about brown spots. If you are finding brown spots on your foliage, it is either sunburn, or if it has a yellow ring around it, then it is going to be some type of fungal or bacterial issue. So you would have to get some fungicide, and then you can spray that on the foliage. Definitely keep it out of the sunlight for a little bit so that way it doesn't burn and have negative effects. Also, clip off those leaves that have fungus issues right away and throw them away immediately. Wash your hands afterwards, because that fungus can spread from one plant to another plant just like a pest can. You don't want that. So that is one to be concerned about. Not a big, oh my gosh, my plant is going to die, but it is one, no, we don't want it to spread and take out a bunch of leaves. So we're just going to clip that off and get rid of it right now. So if you have a whole leaf on a plant that is going yellow, it's going from green to yellow, and then it starts to brown after that, it just continues to dry up, that is usually a normal sign, especially if it is an older leaf. It's just the normal passing of a plant. Every piece of foliage will only live for so long, and then the plant will take the energy from that foliage and use it to grow new foliage or to sustain itself if it's not getting enough light. That's why you'll see plants that don't get enough light will have some leaf loss. It's because they're getting rid of the older foliage and taking that energy and using it to sustain itself. If you get a plant with a whole bunch of yellowing leaves, I'm talking 5, 6, 7, all on the same vine, anything more than 2 or 3 generally, this is signs of some sort of problem. It could be an overwatering issue. Check and see if the soil is wet or not. It could be an underwatering issue. Plants' leaves will generally droop down before if they need more water. But if it's an overwatering or an underwatering issue, you can always just check the soil and feel what's going on there. See when you're watering it, when you're not watering it. If you are overwatering it, its soil is still completely wet and the plant is still looking sad, you can unpot it, see how the roots are looking, see if there's any rot. If there is no rot, then it could be a pest issue. If you have a whole bunch of leaves that are looking sad on a plant, a whole bunch of yellow leaves, no matter what you're doing for this plant, it's still looking yellow and gross, and still cannot seem to retain moisture, check and see if you have maybe some spider mites, you might have some mealy bugs under there. Something is leaching from that plant somehow, and it's either not soaking up the nutrients that it needs, or there's a pest on there taking nutrients and the moisture from that plant. So one of those two things is going on if you have a whole bunch of yellow, sad looking leaves. If you have newer leaves that are coming out deformed and they have some yellowing on them, some of the middle leaves are starting to get yellowing around the edges. If that starts to happen, then this is a sign that there is some type of nutrient deficiency going on there. It could be potassium, it could be magnesium. And that is when you want to go and look up and see exactly what your plant has a tendency to need. For example, with peperomia, calcium and magnesium, you will notice that the leaves start to yellow and become deformed on peperomia. It's because they need more calcium and magnesium than a lot of other plants because there's not enough in a lot of the standard fertilizers. So you may notice some of your middle leaves or your top leaves having issues as far as that goes. Definitely take a look at exactly what is going on with the foliage. You can look it up online. Of different pictures on specific sites for specific plants to deal with the individual issues. So if you have Monstera, for example, with yellowing leaves, deformed, new growth, then you can take a look and see exactly what nutrient it's most likely to be short of, and then you can supplement and add that in. A lot of times just a standard everyday fertilizer, increasing that a little bit will take care of the issue depending, unless it's like the peperomia with the CalMag issue. If your plant has brown tips and brown edges and has a yellow line in between those, that is a sign of overwatering. That means that they're killing off the edges of the plant in order to sustain themselves. They're just getting too much water. Monstera can also show signs of overwatering by turning yellow, and you will see their leaves almost go translucent. This is called edema. They can also get water blisters if they're overwatered and have parts of them turn yellow or really soft and squishy, almost like they're melting. It is not a pretty sight, but that is another sign of overwatering. This usually happens after a period of chronic dryness. So if you left your plant way too long and then gave it a whole bunch of water and let it sit there for a few days, this could possibly happen, and that could be a sign of why your leaves are yellow as well. Hopefully this puts your mind at ease just a little bit, and hopefully you can start to look at older yellowing leaves as signs of hope and as signs of new growth. Alocasia especially are very prone to this. They will drop one leaf in order to produce another one. As soon as you see a new leaf coming up, especially if they're not getting enough feed, you will see that they're dropping the older leaves as well. So hopefully this brings a little bit of hope instead of concern to you. And don't forget to check out indoorgardening.com. There are lots more tips and information there for you, and we are always happy to help. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!